Matt. Back again. Our
Oh,
pre-Christmas Eve showdown episode. Yeah, you are already not too happy based on what happened yesterday. I'm also not happy, by the way. So thanks for I finally cheer for the Cowboys and that's what I get. Um, but was a tough weekend for you. We kind of switched because the other week I was having a rough one. You were having a good one. Now it's kind of switched. Although it's still not great because, like I said, I wish the Cowboys won this past week. Would have helped out the Dolphins a lot. But it is what it is. I'm sure you have some stuff you want to talk about. Although you said not as upset with the outcome from tonight's game, which we will get to later. But as usual, Cowboys started off tough one against the Bills. What was your takeaways from that one?
oh man. Is this what I always do this? Like why like last week I was on an all-time high. I opened my mouth, I mocked you. I said, "Oh, it feels so good for you to suffer and for your team to be down and my team to be up." And sure enough, like 1 week later, I guess karma gets me. But I am not happy right now, and I'm pretty shocked honestly because of how well my team had been playing up to this point. I mean, you could make a case they were a top two team, top three team in the NFL going into the week, and with a chance to make another statement. Just a just total shocker in terms of the way the game was played out and really the final score. I got to give Buffalo credit. I think their record doesn't indicate how good this team is because they had that rough stretch in the middle of the season where everyone was like, "Oh, they're in trouble." Josh Allen's turning the ball over. They can't get their offense going. Um, but I think we all kind of knew like it was going to be an uphill battle. They're kind of winning it, but they're still a talented football team, and we know what they're capable of. But I did not expect my team maybe to win, I would say, but I didn't expect them to get embarrassed. That's the thing, because Buffalo is a tough place to play. You know that, being the Dolphins go there every single year. Tough conditions to play, and they actually got lucky because I thought the conditions weren't that bad for a mid-December game. But this game, you could really say every side of the ball was at fault. 10 points. Your offense is coming off, a 40 piece or 40 points a game, basically at home. You stomp the Eagles. Dak Prescott, MVP front runner going into the game. He does not score a touchdown in this game. We scored one measly touchdown late in the fourth, a garbage time touchdown, which means nothing. But what what am I supposed to do with 10 points? That's not going to cut it. And I think this game, it was really, really tough to watch because Dak, of all people, was missing throws. And from the second play of the game offensively, he had a deep ball to Brandon Cooks, had a good step on the DB, and he just missed him. He missed him. And I knew from then it was like, oh, this is not going to be a good game. I mean, Tony Pollard, numbers wise, yeah, he was okay. But, when you're down by a million, you can't really run the ball. But that's something that Dallas has struggled with all year. They don't run the ball again in this game. And CeeDee Lamb was held in check. Everybody else held in check. But the offense just really needs to learn how to play on the road. That's literally plain and simple. Because at home, you have the crowd noise on your side. You can, as a quarterback, you can call your cadence. Here we go. Like, but we can't hear that on the TV. On a road game, like it's loud. So the communication needs to be better on the road. Dak needs to find a way to get in and out of checks, being able to see different coverages and communicate that to the line, to the receivers, and what to do when to audible. Because it kind of seems like they're pretty one-dimensional um, with the play calling. You can't really open the playbook up really in terms of having a cadence. So Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, they need to go back to the drawing board and really figure it out because I mean, again, they're going on the road next week, and then they got another road game 2 weeks from that, and possibly you're gonna have to go on the playoff run all on the road. So that needs to be addressed. But to be honest, it's a 10-point game, but I'm not gonna panic about the offense because I think the focus on this one for me was the defense and how poor of a performance this was. And the way I say that is because it's kind of like I was watching UH defense, you know, when they're really bad and we always bash them. And what do I always say on this pod? It's like you gotta make the quarterback beat you to some degree, right? You gotta make him beat you. You can't just let a team run all over you and have really no other options except running the ball up the middle. Like it was like almost like watching Oregon State 2 years ago playing Oregon. They run the same play over and over again. You can't stop. You don't make an adjustment. Well, that's exactly what Buffalo did because James Cook looked like prime Dalvin Cook in this game. I don't think I've ever had a James Cook stat line where he had 25 carries, buck 79.
No,
I
it's
mean, the
like, am I
team had.
watching the Bills? Is that
It's
the
like,
Bills I'm watching?
is
A
this
Josh
the
Allen Bills
Bills?
team?
Is this did Dalvin Cook get like 4 years younger all of a sudden? Did he get traded to the Bills? Like, what is this? I mean, there was no answer to the run game. It was pretty sad. I mean, the first drive, I could tell, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a long game. I mean, they just went boom, 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 right down the field. All runs, basically, but there was no answer. And the thing that I need to point out is Dan Quinn deserves a lot of the blame on this. He's been a terrific defensive coordinator for my team. We are not the same team, you know, before that with quote unquote the worst defense in the NFL with Mike Nolan. But Dan Quinn's turned us around. But now this is kind of a chink in the armor a little bit, like the Philly game. Yeah, they shut out the Eagles in terms of not giving up touchdowns, but they still kind of moved the ball against us, right? And then the game before that, Seattle absolutely torched us on defense. So Dan Quinn, this is like 3 games where it's like the offenses are kind of moving the ball against us, but this one was worse because they ran the same play over and over again the whole game, basically 3 run plays, and you couldn't stop them. How do you have a quarterback, Josh Allen, on the other side? He completes 7 passes in the entire game, and you lose by 21. If Josh Allen completed 7 passes, I would be like, heck yeah, we would have beat them by 30. But it's not like he had a bad game. He just didn't do anything. He didn't have to do anything because you guys didn't make an adjustment in running or stopping the run. And a lot of people have been pointing it out. And I agree with this analysis. But Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, they've been terrific this year. Terrific. But they were attacking them physically with big offensive linemen, guys that are 100 pounds heavier than them. They're supposed to be linebackers, so they're supposed to eat up the run game. And they did not because they were getting mauled in the middle by the Bills' offensive line. So that's fine, Dan Quinn. I know you like speed at linebackers, you like long corners, but teams are going to take note of this, especially the team that we're playing next week, aka your team, who has a potent run game. And if they see this chink in the armor, they're going to do the exact same thing. So you need to make an adjustment. And I think, how do you make that adjustment? You're not going to add somebody off the street at this point. But what you can do, I think, is you use your Swiss Army knife, aka the Lion. Micah Parsons, the dude had a horrible game. He had no solo tackles. I mean, he's just not very good in the run game. He's not. He's a pass rusher when he comes off the edge. But he's got to work on that run support. He's not very good at it. So if I'm Dan Quinn, obviously I want Micah Parsons rushing the passer. Don't get me wrong, but you got to be able to make a mid-game adjustment, and by that you can play Micah Parsons off the ball a little bit. Give them a different look. Don't just keep lining him up on the edge, and then the Bills are just going to run away from him or run at him and make him make a decision on the read option or an RPO. Right? They're kind of scheming around him, but you got to move him around. Keep him on the edge on third downs, maybe. But first, second downs, if you're going to keep him on the field, I don't know. Maybe you keep him as an off ball linebacker now, especially with teams that like to run the ball. So I don't know. I think about that. I think about maybe moving D-Law around. He's been a great run stopper for us because we definitely missed. I never thought I would say this. Jonathan Hankins. He went down in the Philly game. He's not a big sack guy, but he's a big body in the middle, our anchor, our nose tackle. But he had a high ankle sprain. I don't know how much longer he's going to miss. I don't expect him back for the Miami game. They said he would be back for the playoffs, which is ultimately the main thing. But we got to survive this stretch without him because he's kind of that big cog in the middle for us. And Mozzie Smith had his chance to step up, but his rookie year has been a disaster, honestly. I mean, he was a no-show to me. So Dallas, Dan Quinn, you guys need to adjust on scheming up run defense. I mean, that's got to change because the teams that we're going to play coming up, kind of known for having a dynamic duo at running back with your team, and even the Lions in 2 weeks. You got Gibbs and Montgomery, so that needs to be addressed ASAP. But you know what also needs to be addressed is the mental penalties. The Bills, you had a chance to really kind of weather the storm, but you guys commit silly penalties. First drive of the game, D-Law, roughing the passer on third down. I mean, you could have stopped them, hold them to 3, kind of stop the bleeding a little bit. It's like, okay, 3-0 sounds not as bad compared to 7-0 on the road on a first drive. Let me tell you that. You gave them a free touchdown. Jonathan Hankins. Oh, not Jonathan Hankins. Excuse me. Sam Williams. You get a stop on third down, fourth down. He gets a free rush to the punter. I don't know how he didn't block the punt. He kind of awkwardly jumped, and he ends up hitting the punter. They end up scoring a touchdown because of that. Jaron Curse got called for a couple bad penalties. To be honest, I didn't think it was fair. I thought that was a terrible call, by the way, by the refs. But you know what? That's still a penalty in our books that we gave them an extra chance on third down to score. So you can't be doing those mental mistakes, especially on the road. But as a defensive guy that I am, that was hard to watch. It was really, really hard to watch. So I'm hoping that this is an anomaly. It's one game. The one thing I will say about Dallas, they bounce back after losses pretty well under Mike McCarthy. So yeah, they might get blown out, but they're going to come back and play better the next game. And most times than not, they're going to come out with a win. So you can put this bad game to rest if you come out the next game and you take care of business. But might be without Zach Martin, so you guys might get lucky in that one. He got dinged up. But, honestly, if he's 50-50, I don't even blame him. If we lose to Miami, so be it, honestly. We need Zach Martin 100% healthy in the playoffs when it counts. But, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge next week. I mean, we can talk about this after you break down your recap. But, yeah, my team needs to bounce back in a desperate way next week. And we're lucky that the Eagles give us a little bit of hope. So even more so, the emphasis is needed on next week. So, yeah, that wasn't too bad, right?
Oh, not too bad. I mean, about your expected time, just real quick, couple things I wanted to point out before we get off this game. The penalty you talked about with DeMarcus Lawrence, the roughing the passer with Josh Allen. I was thinking about this, and I think it's funny because I kind of compare Josh Allen to Joel Embiid in this sense, right? So hear
Well,
me out.
and
Hear me out.
B.
Okay. So hear me out. So, both guys, superstars in their respective leagues, but, both known for being pretty physically dominant. Like Josh Allen as a runner, as a quarterback, the narrative with his game is, oh, he's better, when he's moving, when he's on the run. He's so tough to bring down. We've seen the superhero plays, you know. Um, I mean, against the Cowboys, I think it was several years ago, right? I don't know if it was his rookie year or um his second year or something. I remember he like fumbled a snap, but he like just plowed through the line, picking up a first down, something like that. But he's just known for being a big, tough guy, which he is. And so, same with Joel Embiid, like physically dominant as a center. A lot of these like new guys are taller, skinnier now. I mean, it's Jokic and Giannis, but Joel Embiid is a pretty big dude. I just think it's funny how both those guys, as physically dominant as they are, have highlight reels of them flopping. Like it just like baffles me. And not only does it, it's one thing to do all the flopping, but it's another thing to where they get the calls, more times than not. It's just like interesting to me because if a narrative, is that they're so big and strong, it's like, well, you fell down, you're just flopping. Like that's what I would think first, not like someone really shoved you, and especially when like you flail the arms and like do everything like that. um it's kind of like how I think about LeBron, right? LeBron been so dominant in the league for so long, but physically dominant, right? We've seen him in his prime, but he gets like, i I wish I had the stat on me, but he doesn't get nearly as many free throws attempts as like Joel Embiid. But I think it's because he's so big and so strong, and it's LeBron James, where it's kind of the opposite. It's like, oh, he can finish. It's like, oh, that didn't seem like a foul. That didn't seem to impact him that much. I just think it's funny. I just wanted to point that out because that just came to mind. So I don't know why Joel Embiid, Josh Allen, both like great players, but just I don't know why I see them flop, and there's legit highlight reels of both of those guys flopping. So just want to point
There's a
that out.
lot of guys in the NFL. Like even I think even McCaffrey. I saw Christian
Oh
McCaffrey had
yeah,
a
yeah,
floppy
right.
one
I think
against the Eagles. It's like, dude, you're a running back. Why are you trying to flop? Like you're supposed to be that's a physical position. You
yeah,
absorb contact every single play. What the hell are you trying to do? Trying to fluff this out? This is like you're an NFL player. You're not in the NBA. You're not a soccer player. Like man up.
like I respect the gamesmanship though. Like basketball, that's how you get free throws, or football, you draw the 15 yards. I respect it, but it's just like, why does it have? Why do you have to do it so often? Or it's like I don't know. That's just me nitpicking, but that was just little analysis that came into my mind. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
you know what? The refs love Josh Allen, right? You know, the Bills again, one penalty the entire game. Like, really? I'm not gonna blame this game on the refs. I mean, they were more physical than us, so I give them that. But for the Bills to have one penalty the whole game, and it was on a um, personal foul, kind of a late hit on Dak. Like, really? They had no penalties? Like, I don't know. I smell some BS with that. So we always ran about the refs. You know, I'm not gonna do that here today
I think
because
everyone's been doing that.
it's not, yeah, like it's not worthy because we got our butts kicked. So it's not like it was a close game and you know it was a game time call that impacted it. But again, I just think that needs to be pointed out. How can a team have one penalty called on them the entire game?
That's fair. That's fair. And you know what? With that, why don't we transition over to my team on the flip side, who you guys will be playing next week. So the Dolphins, right? Storyline coming to this one, Tyreek Hill. What is his status going to be? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? A true game time decision, and it came down to Tyreek. And I believe the training staff, but more so it was Tyreek. What can you do? Are you going to go out there and be 100%? Is it more at risk to, play this game against the Jets? not gonna lie, it was a must-win game, and with how the offense looked, in that disaster of a game last week against Tennessee at home, I was a little nervous, what they were gonna look like without Tyreek, but lo and behold, Tua after the game came on the press conference and said he talked to Tyreek and said, like, hey man, if you can't go, like, we got you. Right. And so that's what you want to hear from your quarterback, your leader. And they went out there and did the thing, without Tyreek. 30-0, complete dominance, both sides of the ball. I would say more so though, the defense, for me, this was like a statement game, a bounce back game, and just like vengeance on Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian. I think they just caught
Ooh.
well, okay, but I just think they caught the brunt of a really pissed off defense. Like honestly, to choke a 14-point lead with 3 minutes left, I, albeit the offense, was at fault. They couldn't pick up a first down to help out the defense, but still the defense had 2 drives. You just got to keep them out of the end zone, and couldn't do that. So I think the defense, was definitely fired up. I said it would be a good thing for them to have a short week to flush it all out. But they bounced back in a really good way. I thought that loss to Tennessee, like I said, don't panic. Because I think it's either going to be fuel or it's going to, get to them in their minds. And we saw it turn into fuel. I mean, 6 sacks on the day. They had a total of 136 passing yards before sacks and 23 rushing yards. So yeah, that'll do it. I believe the Jets had 4 total yards at the end of the first half. So
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, that just utter dominance from the defense. Really like to see the Bradley Chubb legacy game come out here. Hopefully he has many more of those. But I mean, 3 sacks, forced fumble, 2 tackles for loss. Yeah, that'll do it. Just really liked what I saw from the defense. And then on the back end, I mean, they didn't really have a chance with the time that was being given to Simeon and Wilson. Also with no run game, so no play action at all. Utter dominance from the defense. And then on offense, we saw them execute, move the ball down the field without Tyreek. Tua had a good game, 21 of 24, 224 yards and a touchdown, no turnovers. Almost had a pick, got lucky there, but no turnovers. That'll help whenever you can do that, and really look comfortable behind a mixed match offensive line. I mean, we lose Connor Williams for the year officially with the ACL. That's a big loss. He was the number one rated center according to Pro Football Focus. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. He was a great center for our team.
And the worst left guard in the NFL.
Hey, but he
3
don't
years
have to
ago.
play. He didn't have to play left guard as a Miami Dolphin. But yeah, it really tough to see him go down. But Liam Eichenberg stepped up. 3 sacks. But I thought overall, with how little this unit had to gel together, less than a full week of practice, right? I thought they did really well. Protecting Tua for the most part. But yeah, Tua, getting the ball out quick, and Jalen Waddle, man, stepping up huge for Tyreek. And I just wanted to point out, I think after looking back at this game, everyone was making a big deal. Oh, no Tyreek, they're in trouble. Like, what is Miami gonna do? Who's gonna fill the void? People forget, like, Jalen Waddle had 100+ catches his rookie year, 1,000 yards. So he's the real deal as well. And I think, with the system that Miami runs, it's so timing based, right? They talk about this a lot in their interviews, Hard Knocks. They have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, all their receivers. run 100% full sprint game speed every single rep because this offense is so timing based. If you watch, and you'll get to see it next week, uh, but it really is. People say, "Oh, Tua, gets thrown off his read. His first read isn't there. It kind of messes everything up." But the offensive system in place is so timing based to where he needs to get the ball out quick. And if it's not there, that's kind of just how the whole play is, which is something I thought Mike McDaniel has, gotten better at, incorporating second, third options for Tua when the first thing isn't there. But, after a week of Jalen Waddle getting reps in at Tyreek's normal position, look at what we saw. The Jets, people forget the Jets, yeah, their team isn't very good offensively, but defensively still rank as one of, the better defenses in the league. They gave a lot of star quarterbacks trouble, right? Patrick Mahomes, they beat Jalen Hurts. People forget about that, right? Josh Allen had a rough game against them. So this is still a really good defense. And for Jalen Waddle to go out there, 8 catches, 142 yards, the bomb to him, 60-yarder for the touchdown. I mean, just a great job for Jalen stepping in. I think he's been banged up all year. He looked healthy finally. Had some of that explosion that we were used to seeing last year. So I'm really excited that the team responded in that way, coming off a really rough loss. So looking forward to, next week. They took care of business 10-4, but now their gauntlet is coming up. 3 tough games to end the year. Luckily, 2 of them are at home. We got Dallas, then at Baltimore, and then get Buffalo in the last game. And I think that's going to have a ton of drama in that one as well with how the AFC is shaping up. So really well executed game from this team, and just, emotionally to bounce back from that really tough loss with such a dominant win. I know it's the Jets, people are going to knock it because it's the Jets, but I think as we've seen from tonight and just throughout the league in recent weeks, it really is any given Sunday. I mean, Carolina won this week. I didn't think they would win a game the rest of the year. Houston somehow came back to beat Tennessee with no CJ Stroud and Case Keenum in there. So you really never know, right? Anytime you can blank a team 30-0, especially in division, I don't care what the 2 teams are. That's an impressive feat right there. So yeah, I'm glad, but can't look too far ahead because we got you guys coming up.
The
and
boys
I
are
think
coming to town.
people, it's funny because I don't know if you saw, but people are calling it the Fraud Bowl because our 2 teams are notorious for,
Hey, but my team, at least we beat the Eagles and we beat them down. So
that is
we
true.
got
Yeah,
one. We got one on. We got
well,
one
we
on you
still
guys.
have a chance to get Buffalo at home. They didn't get Buffalo. They played Buffalo away that first
That's
game.
true.
So we still got, yeah, but I mean, 4 losses, 3 of them to really good teams, right? So now we'll get to see who the better fraud is, I guess. We'll see, but I
What's
think,
your okay?
sorry, go ahead.
What's your like quick like Monday night prediction for the game of
Well,
our fan fanatic bowl, our fraud bowl, whatever you want to call it?
I'll just say honestly, if the teams are currently projected to start the players right now, because we were missing a lot of guys. Xavier Howard out, Javon Holland out. We're still missing Jerome Baker, Tyreek, of course. If we're out those guys, I think it's going to be a little bit tough. I think some of our corners can be exposed, but with how I guess today's game looked for you, or sorry, not today's game, yesterday's game for you guys looked going against the Bills. I'm favoring the Dolphins. Not gonna lie, just because they're at home. Cowboys this season just have not been the same team on the road. I think you can agree with that. And yeah, if the run game gets going, Mike McDaniel has been leaning on it. in the red zone, that's something I talked about. Have to get better at running the ball in short yardage situations. And I can't believe what I was seeing, but one of Raheem Mostert's touchdowns, he hit three straight runs within the five. And I couldn't believe it because I don't think that's very characteristic of Mike McDaniel, but I think he's learning like, hey, I got, a line that is going to be better run blocking than pass blocking for the most part. So um, stuck with the run. So I think, we're going to see that consistency because they were only averaging 2.8 yards a carry, albeit they were up big, but they still stuck with it 28 times. I think that's going to be a staple moving forward. So if we can come out, establish the run, Raheem Mostert and Devon Achan, they're just one crease away from really breaking one. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Dolphins. And I think Tyreek sounds like he really wants to play. So I think you got Tyreek and Jalen now with his confidence, how they're looking, um, defense as well. I don't know. I'm leaning Miami. I think it'll be close. I think we might see a little bit of a shootout. Honestly, I'm thinking more than 20 points each, but I think Miami takes it. I'll call it 31-27, something like that.
31-27. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about right. I'm gonna bank on my team being a bounce back team because really under Mike McCarthy, we have stinkers. I think that's just kind of the nature of the Cowboys. We have those games where we just are the laughing stock of the NFL. But then the next game, we come back and we bounce back and we take care of business. So I look at the 49ers game, kind of a similar style game. We get absolutely blitzed on the road. We can't stop the run, right? It was just embarrassing. But albeit, yeah, we played the Chargers, but we came back, we won. We won in crunch time. We stopped the run. Austin Eckler did not do anything. Um, but I'm banking on that similar script. I'm banking on Dan Quinn seeing that, yeah, we just got exposed by the Buffalo Bills. How are you going to adjust? Because Miami, you guys like to run. You guys got a great tandem in the backfield. So I feel like they're going to adjust. They're going to account for that. And they're gonna hold Miami's run game in check. And I think that's going to allow us to stay in the game. And I'm thinking Rain Dakota, a guy who I've been pretty nice about this year for the most part. I want him to bounce back because a lot of people have said, oh, he's out the MVP now. It's Brock Purdy's race. I want Dak to have a moment in this game. I'm going to say Dak is going to lead a game-winning drive. I don't know. Maybe it's a field goal for Butter Aubrey, but I'm calling a game-winning drive. So I'm going to go 30-27 Dallas. I'll say walk-off kick by Brandon Aubrey.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
going to be a shootout. I think both teams are going to move the ball, though.
I think
That's
it'll
the
be a
thing.
pretty high scoring affair. One thing I think a matchup is going to be for the Dolphins, the key matchup is going to be Austin Jackson and Teron Armstead versus 11 and Demarcus Lawrence. Because they're the two, healthiest veteran guys. Actually, Austin Jackson is questionable, I think, so I'm a little bit worried. But if Tua has time, I think we'll have a chance. If your guys can get home, that's what I'm kind of worried about the most because I do think Dallas is going to key in on the run early and make Tua have to drop back in obvious passing downs and then unleash the dogs at him. But I think that on the flip side, the matchup for your success is going to be your receivers, so Brandon Cooks and more so CeeDee Lamb against Jalen Ramsey and hopefully Xavier Howard on the other side. Xavier Howard coming off a rough game against Tennessee, want to see a bounce back game from him. But yeah, Jalen Ramsey hopefully shadows CeeDee Lamb. That's going to be the matchup, I think, the key matchup for you guys as well. But I also think you have the advantage because our linebackers aren't the greatest right now without Jerome Baker. So I think Jake Ferguson might be in for quite a few
Okay.
quite a few shares. But anyway, let's see. That's enough of that. We will figure out what we're doing when we watch our game. Uh, Still got a couple other games to get to. Two big games. One we have to talk about the Thursday night game. I mean,
I mean,
just really the encapsulation of I think Chargers fans' feelings towards Brandon Staley. It all finally came crashing down. The House of Cards finally tumbled out in LA, and to get 63 points dropped on you. Okay, you're in Vegas, but 63 points. I thought the Raiders were going to break Miami's record of 70 this year with how the game was going. I think it was 42-0, which is worse than the Miami one. So 42-0 in the first half. Uh just ridiculous. I mean, I don't really know what else to say, but uh that to me is just the encapsulation of Brandon Staley. Um, you know, you lose Justin Herbert for the rest of the year. Okay, I get it. It's going to be rough on offense, but the thing to me, Matt, was I finally saw players, albeit the score was whatever 42-0, 35-0, even 28-0, but I saw guys quit. Like I
mhm.
saw the Chargers like just say, okay, whatever. Like absolutely deflated. And at the half, it, right? But these guys are still getting paid a lot of money to do what they do. And they have their careers to think about, moving forward. But I've never seen a team just get so deflated and just not get, I mean, essentially give up, right? Uh, Call it whatever you want. I mean, the fumble, what they had five fumbles. They lost four fumbles and a pick. Like
Pick six.
one, I mean, a great pick six, by the way. The one handed. Um, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just a complete disaster from the Chargers, and to lose to the Raiders. I mean, come on, the Raiders, really, who are also having a down year themselves. All the coaching turmoil, but
And keep in mind the Raiders got shut out the week before.
shut out
Shut
at
out.
home, shut out at home the week before. So I don't really know what else to say, but I guess I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, you could say. We've been talking about Brandon Staley for some time now. I guess that will finally come to an end. It got to the point where I felt bad for Justin Herbert, like don't really know what to say. But yeah, thank you, Brandon Staley, for providing us content for the past several years. You will be missed. I don't know, Matt. That like just 42-0 at the half. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, we can come back to Brandon Staley. He'll definitely come up in our later segment that we have, particularly one to close the show, kind of a tribute. But the one guy I want to mention is Kellen Moore. I think deserves some of the blame here because he was supposed to be brought in this offensive guru that led the Dallas Cowboys to being a top offense in the league. And yeah, Justin Herbert wasn't here today, but he was there at the rest of the games. And it just seems like the offense, I don't know, this is just from the naked eye, it just looks like they got worse. Honestly, Austin Eckler has not looked like Austin Eckler this year, albeit Mike Williams was injured early. But that's the thing that I always criticize Kellen Moore about, specifically using Austin Eckler, because he did that with my team. He wanted to throw every single down. Like, dude, you have Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. You have a young Tony Pollard, explosive. Give them the ball. Like, Austin Eckler, albeit the game is a blowout, 5 carries. Are you serious? Like, what is this? I mean, he's supposed to be and Keenan Allen is out too. So, even more so, how are you not getting this guy the ball? Like, Herbert's out. Allen's out.
I don't know. I
Mike
think
Williams out.
something has
Like
been wrong with
something
Austin
is wrong.
Eckler as well, though. I
Yeah,
will
but
say,
something is wrong with him. But I'm still trying to get him the ball. Who else do I have on offense to spark something?
Gerald Everett,
Gerald
Josh
Everett's not
Palmer.
a, but they're not like game changers. Like that's the one guy that can change the game for you, and just the usage, really, the whole year has been just hasn't been good. So Kellen Moore, I think he deserves a little bit of the pie here for the blame. But you know, 42 to nothing. I don't even know how you even come back in the locker room. So that's the end of the Staley era, unfortunately.
End
So
of the Staley era, indeed. Yeah. We can close the chapter on that one. 63 points. The Raiders with Aiden O'Connell. Hey, Aiden O'Connell looked like a stud. I'll admit it. But man,
he
they
did.
didn't even have Josh Jacobs. No Jacobs. Ridiculous. Okay. Let's round it out. We got Hunter coming on here in a little bit. So round out the NFL segment as usual. We got to talk about our Monday night game. A big one for you and one of the upsets of the year so far and a huge, game for the top of the NFC because now starting to shape up that Philly, they're slipping a little bit in the standings and perfect for you guys because now you're tied, right? You are tied with Philly, both at 10-4. Uh, I mean, just a crazy game tonight as well. Status of both quarterbacks in question. Jalen Hurts sounds like he has the flu. Oh, is this going to be a flu game from Jalen Hurts? Geno Smith, we find out literally 5 minutes before the game starts or something. Not
That
even
was
that.
weird. He was active and he
Um,
doesn't play.
he's active. He doesn't play. I don't know if they're trying to throw off the Eagles or whatever, but you hear it's Drew Lock, and we know what Drew Lock's career has been up until this point. So I think Philly fans, the Eagles, they're feeling pretty good. Um, Although I guess something about Pete Carroll, he just does not lose to the Eagles, no matter who it is, as long as he's been in Seattle. What 0-8 now? The Phillies are, or not the Phillies, the Eagles are against Pete Carroll. This game just a like ugly, not I mean not ugly, but you know back and forth. It was like long drives. That's what I meant. Long drives. None of the big, real explosive plays. Um, but it looked like Philly, was in complete control until that last quarter. Um, Jalen Hurts. I mean, I know he was sick, but passing wise, not too impressive. Running wise, I mean, I thought surprised he ran the ball that much, considering how sick he was, but he was effective in that 80, 83, 82 yards on 13 carries. But yeah, the two picks, albeit, one of them you gotta just chuck the ball down the field at that point. But I don't know, Matt. The Eagles starting to show some of their chinks in the armor as well. But I guess you must be pretty excited about that. So how are you feeling now?
Well, as a Cowboys fan, I'm thrilled because we got life again. It's basically this weekend was a wash, right? Like nothing happened. So they're just back at square one. Albeit the Eagles still control their own destiny, but they play the Giants twice. I know it's the Giants, but you and I always say division matchups, crazy things happen in the division. And the fact that they see each other twice in the last 3 weeks, it's like, okay, say the Giants lose the first game. Ah, but we're gonna see them right again. It's just like fresh. So it's like you don't have to wait. You know what they're gonna do. So I feel like that's kind of the advantage for the sake of the Giants trying to steal a game out of those two. But in terms of the Eagles long term, obviously I'm not afraid of them. The only team that I'm truly afraid of is the San Francisco 49ers because they're probably going to be the 1 seed now. They got a 2 game lead basically on the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles because they have the tiebreaker over both teams. So 2 games with 3 weeks left. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a wrap, I'll be honest. But Dallas, you're still alive for the possibly the 2 seed. And for us, that's huge because we are good at home. And if you get the 2 seed, that means you at least get 2 games at home in the playoffs. So I think that's good. The door is still open. But the Eagles, they made a change at DC with Matt Patricia. I mean, yeah, they were saying, oh wow, they held him to 3 points at the half, but it is Drew Lock. But it's like when the money was on the line, you guys needed to hold them out of the end zone. They went 92 yards in under 2 minutes with Drew Lock. Like, what? I mean, DK Metcalf, he turned into Calvin Johnson on
He
that
did
drive. Like,
nothing the nothing,
sheesh. Like, that
nothing the
was,
entire game.
I mean, credit to DK. That was impressive. I mean, I've never seen a stretch like that from him. So I tip my cap to him. That was really impressive what he did. But I mean, they had one job, keep him out of the end zone. And what do? You allow a deep ball, a go route to Smith and Jigma? Like, where is the safety help? Like, just bad scheming. So the defense is gettable. The offense is not clicking right now. This is the time to get them. And they're probably going to win all three of these games, I'll be honest. But this is not the same team as last year. And you called it on the
I've
pod.
been saying it
You got crapped on
all
by
year,
the haters, but
and
you are right.
they just, and I didn't even say they were bad. I still think they're a good team. I just never got that juggernaut feel like last season, when they went undefeated for so long. And these past weeks, we've finally been seeing that get exposed. And it's weird, Matt, because, I talked about it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I said, hey, when you make them run the ball, or I mean, sorry, when you make them throw the ball more than they run it, they're going to be in trouble. But they still had 38 carries for 178 yards. Like, they were sticking with the run. I don't know how much of that is Jalen Hurts is not feeling well. Looked like it was a little not rainy, but at Seattle, so maybe you just never really know what the weather wise. Um, but I real quick before we get off the passing offense. I just don't see like the same, not even creativity, but I don't know what's missing there because they brought back pretty much the same roster offensively, but I just see a lot of it's like a slant to AJ Brown, it's a crosser over the middle, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown on go routes or you know Diggs or a hitch. Like I'm not, I just don't see any of like what you see with the Niners, with what you see with Miami, even with your team. You guys are starting to motion a lot more. I don't see a ton of that, with the Eagles passing game, and I think that's something that they kind of need to figure out because they've been kind of sticking on AJ and Devontae Smith a little bit better, and this Seattle defense just got absolutely torched. So I think it's a scheme thing more than a players thing. I still like the players on the Eagles offense. I still think they're one of the more elite groups in the league, but something DCs are starting to figure out with the Eagles. I mean, they held them to 17 points. This is a Seattle team that literally just got blown out. They've been getting blown out all year. So I don't know. I just don't really get it. But yeah,
I'll say
that's
this
kind of
on
my
on that note. I think it's teams figure out. Like last year, I feel like they were getting the deep balls with AJ and Devontae over the top, but they haven't been getting that. So how are you gonna kind of dink and dunk your way to the end zone? I think they're kind of struggling on that. At least
because if
Jalen
they
hasn't
can't
really.
run, I
If
think
they
it's
don't
kind of
run, like if they don't get the big play, like are they really a team that's gonna methodically go down the field all the time? Yeah, they of course they can, right? They can control the line of scrimmage, but like in this case, right? Late in the game, you need to get into field goal range, not that much time. You got to pass, but you can't just throw five go routes and just, oh, hopefully AJ catches one. Like you got to be able to kind of dink and dunk your way, get 15, 10, short chunk plays, but it just hasn't been that recipe of success. And I agree with you. I don't think they motion at all. Like I rarely see guys move around. If anything, it's like I don't know what the
like
right
they
football
they
term is.
bring the
They
the
loop it
running
around,
back.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that thing. But it's like, okay, and they just flip it out to him in the flat. Like, bro, I know exactly what you guys are gonna do. Like, so I think teams are figuring that out. So the Eagles need to figure out a way to how am I going to methodically develop drives, get guys going without the deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, then that's going to open up your shot play to AJ and Devontae over the top. But hopefully they never figure it out. This is great for the rest of the NFL. Perfect. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we kind of went along with the NFL stuff, but a lot of stuff we had to discuss. So why don't we take a quick break here? And we finally got Hunter on to talk about some UH
Finally.
athletics. Long overdue, but we finally got him on. So stick around, and he'll be joining us shortly. Okay, so we finally got our number one UH fan back on the pod. Been trying to schedule this one for a little bit.
How many weeks late are we?
Hey, doesn't matter. We're finally gonna get to discuss all of it. So I want to just jump right in because I've been itching to talk about some of this stuff. I'm gonna start with the last game, right? Crazy way for us to end the season. I know you were there, but we really just got to talk about the last couple sequences, I guess. So number one, before we get to the kick, right? UH is up. Somehow, what was it? It was fourth down, right? Like 4th and 10. Their Colorado State is at their own 20, 25, like something like that, right? And we somehow let, what was it, an 80-something yard touchdown with the 2-point conversion. Let them get right back in it. I don't even know. Like, I wasn't following, but I was like, or sorry, I wasn't watching, but I was like following it. I was like, oh, we got this in the bag. And I look, and I'm like, what just happened? Anyway, I know you were there. So first of all, just want to get your take on, from a fan's perspective, like being in the stadium. What was it like to, we're riding this high, and then all of a sudden it just all like disappears.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best. Especially when Colorado State, right? They're on their own 25-yard line, and then all of a sudden there's a 75-yard play that just happens in the snap of a finger, and then you're like, okay, now they need to get a 2-point conversion. It's not too bad, but then they get it, and now we're all of a sudden we're tied after being up. I think we're up at like maybe like 10 points at one point. But yeah, it was a quick turnaround. But there was some time left for Hawaii to make a run for it. Of course, they have no timeouts at the end, so they got to go quick, no huddle, clock it or out of bounds, whatever it is. I know Schager had a few big runs, maybe 10 yards plus, and then he had a pass over to the running back, Landon Sims, and they were able to set up, I think, another play with the other wide receiver for one last play before the field goal kick. And it was weird. I thought the wide receiver got out of bounds. It looked like he was out of bounds.
Did.
Yeah. Yeah. And once they saw the clock start running, you saw Shipley start going out there, and he started to sprint too. And amazingly, they got off the kick, and it was crazy. And you couldn't tell from our angle, like the kick was going from right to left, so you didn't know if it was going to go in or if it crossed before. So, but once everyone started going wild, it was pretty crazy to see that, and I've never seen anything like that happen. Such a last minute kick, or and to win the game in that matter, it was pretty ridiculous.
Was everybody yelling like when the clock was running? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, was there like, could you feel that in the crowd?
Yeah, there was like a sense of urgency and panic, because when you see the clock going down from 5, 4, 3, and then they're not even set, they're like, what the hell's going on? So, I was like, oh shit. I was mentally preparing for overtime at that point, but thank God we didn't go in overtime.
Yeah, I think that last game, really just last sequence, kind of has encapsulated the Timmy Chang era over 2 seasons so far. But at least it was a positive note. We ended on a positive note, which is important. But yeah, just so going back to that last second field goal. Watching it like on TV after the replays and everything, like the confusion. Looks like we didn't get out of bounds, or what's going on. But I think when me and Matt talked about it, right, Matt, we said, why didn't they just go clock the ball anyway,
Yeah.
right? Right. Because even if you like get the first down, like you don't want to leave your offense out there with, I think it was 8 seconds left, right? And maybe try to hit a quick out or something to the sideline. Just make it a little bit closer. So just that decision itself, I think we were already scratching our heads like, you don't trust our offense to run one play, in 8 seconds and at least try to get a little bit closer. So that decision in itself, I think, was interesting. But going back to the 75-yard bomb, we send the house. No, we're not keeping anyone back.
That's what I was upset about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cover zero.
Yeah, just wanted to get your take, I guess, on some of the coaching decisions towards the end of the game on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they really gambled there and got the losing end of it. But I can see. I know the past few games where they were more aggressive on defense paid dividends for them. But in this case, their wide receiver, was it Torrey
Torrey
Horton?
Horton. Yeah.
Was it him that caught
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Mhm.
I think when you have one-on-one with him, it's not a good matchup for anybody. And the coaches maybe didn't realize that how talented he was. I'm
He's
sure they
the
knew
best
that, but
receiver in the Mountain West, you could argue.
yeah, he's coming back next year, so that's great
Oh,
for them.
joy.
But yeah, but I mean, I guess in this game in college football, you gotta gamble, right? Whether you call the right player or not, and stick with it, and then just hope for the best the next coming plays. But I mean, the coaching this year has been off and on, especially with the defense. I know there were times where it was just like in shambles when we lost to San Jose State, 35-0. And there's a lot of talk about who we need to replace on the defensive end, and even so on the offensive end, with play calling. But the last four games where they won the last 2 out of 4, there was significant improvement on the offense and defense standpoint. So that's a good sign moving into next season.
Yeah, like you said, the last several games much better. The Air Force victory, I think, shocked everyone because of how Air Force had been looking. But there was also the craziness of that Colorado State game. So I don't know what your opinion. Better win, I guess, the upset or the dramatic last second walk off.
Oh, it's a good one. It's probably gotta be the senior night walk off for me and for the team. It's senior night, right? More momentum heading to next season. That win may have saved some players from entering the transfer portal. Who knows, right? When they're all happy and as a team together, enjoying that moment, they can create a more memorable bond, and so maybe that saved them from potentially entering the transfer portal. Also, more momentum for the coaches and recruiting. So I think that was a more impactful win. Air Force was a great win, surprising win, upset. And I was kind of shocked of how well the defense played in stopping the run. So, but I would give the Colorado State game as to a better win.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I agree with you. Just it was more than just a game at that point. For next season. So
That was our bowl game.
yeah, that really was our bowl game with how it's going. So yeah, season as a whole obviously didn't go the way we wanted to. Didn't get the bowl game, but did show some improvement. Got more wins than last year. So two main guys I want to get to here, who we were gonna be assessing as the year went on. So Braden Schager and our coach Timmy Chang. So we'll start with Braden. Just overall as a season, what would you kind of either grade him or your impression of his performance throughout the year?
If I were to give Braden Schager a grade for the year, I would give him a solid B minus. He definitely
That's
improved
harsh.
from last year. Um, with the touchdown to interception ratio could be much better. I think he did have 13 interceptions on the season, to like 26, 27 touchdowns. So the 2-to-1 ratio. But I think he learned a lot for the run and shoot system. As you can see in the last 4 or 5 games, he started to read the routes a little better. He also got more of a running type of quarterback. He had a lot of scrambles, which really opened up the passing lanes for him, and other options for the offense. So I think by adding that, his running ability really made UH offense um, much more versatile in that way. And although he did have some bad interceptions, some bad throws throughout the year, and more particularly earlier in the year, I do think he progressed as the season went on, and so that's why I feel like he deserves a B minus for the way that he improved throughout the year and really kind of build momentum for next year. But as you know, we may not be able to see him next year, so we'll see about that. Um, I'm sure we'll get into that, but yeah, I would give him a B minus just because of his improvements, and the way that he kind of battles through those adversity games. When UH was down or a lot of times facing tough situations. So Braden did well.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I think that's actually a pretty unpopular opinion amongst most, I would just say most Hawaii football fans, at least the ones I was around, not the biggest fans of Braden, but objectively, like, yeah, like you said, bad picks, but I don't think he had a terrible year. We got us to 5 wins, figured it out little bit too late. But I wasn't gonna kill him like a lot of the UH fans were going to. I know Matt probably would give him a much lower grade than a B minus.
I was actually shocked that Hunter gave him a B minus. I thought you were gonna go at least like a B, maybe B plus, because I thought he improved, towards the end of the season. If it was
Yeah,
like the other way around, like his stats, he still was a top 10 passer in the nation, which is hard to do, right? He's up with Caleb Williams, Shador, like all these top NFL quarterbacks. So, it wasn't a terrible season, but it wasn't like a Colt Brennan, Brian
yeah.
Moniz kind of season for sure. But
But
I
I
didn't
mean,
think he
some
was that
people.
bad at the end.
Yeah, some people label it as a breakout year for Breeden, which kind of really, I guess, what the word is people were influencing him to enter the portal because of his breakout year.
That's
So
crazy.
his stock is high right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think Breeden did well this year.
yeah. I think we actually both agree. But yeah, real quick before we do get to the transfer news, got to talk about Timmy Chang, our head coach. We kind of went back and forth when he was getting hired. But now it's 2 full years under his belt. At least we did get to see the improvement, like we said. But overall, this year, how did you think he did in his second season?
Yeah, Timmy, obviously, the win count improved from last year, 3 to 5. I think as the years go on, Timmy will only get better as a head coach. I do think that there probably needs to be some kind of change when it comes to his staff. But as for Timmy himself, I think he's doing a good job with building the foundation, for that brotherhood type of thing, and just setting the foundation for Hawaii football and trying to bring it back to where it was. I think he's the right person for it. But of course, he just needs the experience, and that'll come over time. Only in his second year as head coach, and being able to pull out 5 wins, and not such an easy schedule, right? We had Oregon this year, um, top teams like Air Force, Wyoming was good this year as well. So I mean, yeah, give Timmy Chang credit, and he's doing his best. But yeah, I would say, if I were to give him a grade, I would give Timmy like a B. There's always room for improvement, but he did show that he improved from last year, especially in some of the play calling. He did open up the play calling more, which made him more more fun to watch as a fan.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
I agree. I agree. I think he showed improvement this year overall. Going into the season, I told Matt the one thing I wasn't concerned about was kind of the locker room environment, I guess you could say. And you could really tell, yeah, they weren't so good that first year, but a lot of the guys were buying in. They showed heart, they were playing hard. Uh, they were together. None of that player coach drama like the last regime in there. So it was good to see that kind of camaraderie, and I think it carried in to his second season. So that I wasn't too concerned about. Like you said, I think the play calling definitely improved a little bit. Um, we got to see a few more wrinkles in there, and you can look at the stats. I mean, we performed better and got more wins. But yeah, I think for me, the one thing that he can improve on himself, and like you said, this will come with experience. It's just kind of the game management, I guess you could say, like timeouts or when we're going for it. Just some of those decisions, and I think it will get better over time. I think he survived the tough years because I was on record saying that when they were going through the hiring process, I wanted June Jones and I wanted Timmy under him, just so he could get the college, more of the college experience under his belt. What really goes into running an entire program from recruiting, to day by day practices, training, minicamp, all this stuff. And seeing the game time decisions you have to make in game. But I think he survived and he's improved. So I'm actually excited. But now there's expectations, I think, for me going into next season. I think we're really gonna need to see that leap from this team next year, because you don't want to stay stagnant for too long, right? We want to see constant improvement every year. But Matt, I'll let you just kind of give your two cents before we get off Timmy.
No, I mean, I think Timmy, he improved, but I wouldn't go as high as a B. I thought maybe C plus. I think there's still things that are missing. Which, like you guys mentioned it, the decision making is always something that I criticized him for. Especially offensively. I'm a huge guy of running the ball. I don't care if we're in the run and shoot and you're supposed to throw it all over the yard, because I've seen a run and shoot offense with good running backs at Hawaii that had a run game. We had a Nate Ilala. We had Alex Green, who went to the NFL. So don't tell me that, oh, we got to throw it 40, 50 times a game and run it 7 to 10 times a game. Like, I still think there needs to be a balance, because the run game can help the pass game. It can open it up. It works both ways. And I think Timmy, he needs to get that going. And maybe it's a credit to him, because with Schager kind of being a little bit more mobile at the end of the year, that did kind of help this offense a little bit. So I'll give him that one, but I still like to see a little bit more of a run game. But I'll ask you this, Hunter, like, what do you think? I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but this is going to be year 3 next year for Timmy. Obviously, we want to see the improvement. We want to see, possibly a bowl game, hopefully. But is there a scenario where, let's say we regress a little bit, would year 4 be like a make or break year for Timmy Chang as a head coach if he regresses again?
I think he would be on the hot seat, definitely, if there's a regress in year 3. Especially with not only the wins but the performance on the field. How they lose, I think, is a big factor as well. But yeah, I would say he would be on the hot seat if they were to take a step back in year 3. But we're hoping that's not the case. And I like the point that you brought up about the run game. That's something that Hawaii does need to improve on, definitely, to have more success, or to have a better success for next year. And I know that Tylen Hines was out for majority of the year with injury. He was supposed to be our lead back, and there was other um, I know there's Landon Sims, but then there's another freshman running back who entered the portal. But we do have some new recruits coming in, more of a bigger back type from
All
the
right.
JC. So he looks to be promising as well. He was All American as at the JC level, and yeah, looking to see hopefully the run game improves next year, which opens up the passing game more.
Yeah. Okay. So you brought up the transfer portal and everything. So I think
Oh,
now it's
that's a
time.
great
Yeah. Now
transition.
it's time to get into it. Obviously, the biggest news coming after the season was that Braden Schager is entering the transfer portal, like you had already alluded to. So just wanted to get your reaction to the news. Surprised, not surprised. How are you feeling? And if he does leave, I don't know. Are we getting a recruit? You're kind of our resident UH expert, so wanted to hear what you had to say.
It's interesting. The timeline of this whole British Sugar portal thing is interesting, right? Because originally there was reports where Sugar will enter the transfer portal, and then all of that reports are shut down when Timmy Chang announced that Sugar told Timmy Chang he's going to be throwing Sugar bombs next year in Manoa, and so that rumor was squashed. Then the next week, you see news that Schager enters the transfer portal. So at that point, it's just kind of confusing to see, where Schager's mindset is. You can see a lot of the reaction on Twitter with his teammates, kind of like a shocked moment when they heard the news. I think initially, or even as of now, I think it was a bad look on Schager. He hasn't maybe thought it all the way through, especially when you tell your head coach like you're coming back next year, and your coach is backing you up with shutting down those rumors that are supposedly false. I think I would think that could have been handled better by Shaker, but ultimately he did enter the transfer portal, and rumor on the street is he may potentially return back next year, and yeah. That's what they're saying. It's not official that he's leaving. They're saying that there's a chance that he does come back, whether it be because of his girlfriend, or there's no other offers out there, or not as good offers as he had initially thought. But yeah, there's a possibility where he comes back. But if he doesn't come back, we do have a verbal commitment from Bishop Gorman, the quarterback Michael Alejado. He's a lefty. He's more of the typical run and shoot quarterback that you would see. He has the running ability, so he's versatile in that way. But I think he would be a really great addition to the QB room, considering the fact that it is kind of sparse right now. Especially if Shager does leave, we would definitely to have that Bishop Foreman quarterback come, as well as recruit either a JC quarterback or a transfer portal quarterback, because we do need more depth at that position. But yeah, Shaker could return next year, so that's still up in the air.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I have some sources out there. I'll piggyback off of Hunter. I that's what I've heard too. So don't rule that out of the book yet. I think
you got
the door
sources.
the
What are you
door.
talking about? You got
I got some
sources.
sources. I got some sources, man.
All right.
I can't disclose that
Okay,
information,
that's
but
fine.
I got some sources out there.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that is an interesting series of events. For all this news to be coming out. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Once the rosters are finally constructed, but yeah, definitely would like to see some kind of recruit come in or transfer, whatever the case may be. Um, but okay, well, sounds good. I guess we'll still have to hold out on the official news for that. And yeah, hopefully we can get some more recruits. I think everywhere, because with the NIL stuff and now the reshaping of college football itself, uh, yeah, it just seems like a lot more players are willing to move. I think they broke the record. They're going to keep breaking the record of how many players enter the portal, with how the system is currently set up. So, at least UH football wise, yeah, still got some question marks, and I'm sure we'll revisit it when it's time for season to get started again. So we'll come back to that one. But as one UH season ends, another begins, right? Now we got basketball. 7-2 now, had tough loss. Was it tonight? Last night? To Nevada.
Last night.
To Nevada. But yeah, Matt, since I think you go to more of the basketball games, let you take over for the basketball segment. So
Yeah, well, I'll hopefully you can join us, at those games. We're still waiting. But as Greg mentioned, right, 7-2 start. I guess first kind of general question, how you think the season has gone so far through 9 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think we needed to win all the games that we were supposed to. Um, as far as the 2 losses go, with those actual decent teams, against Utah, it was on the road, so I didn't expect much. But this last night's game against Nevada, we had a real chance of winning. And in fact, we should have won. With the free throws that we missed, and especially with those last 2 possessions of the game, we just didn't give ourselves a chance. But I think this team can compete at that level, right? Nevada is I think they're a net top 50 program or top 40 in the country. So they're a good program, and Hawaii was in it all the way to the buzzer. So it shows that this team can compete at that level. It's just those little mistakes, those little things that need to be cleaned up before the Dynamic Classic and before conference play starts, is what separates them from, getting to the big dance or not. And Iran Ganat needs to figure that out quickly, rather than later. So I think this team has potential. I do like where we're at. Hopefully we don't have any injuries in the future, but I like where we're at. We have a lot of playmakers. We have a lot of we're deep this year. We do have a lot of bench players that come in and score points. Particularly Juan Munoz. He's a 3-point specialist essentially, but he can provide that spark off the bench as well as Morsek, and Harry and whatnot. So. Yeah, we're deep. We're a lot deeper than we are in previous years. So that's what can help us propel with more wins, hopefully down the road.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's good that you brought up Juan, because was there any other guy, or you can say Juan too, but is there one guy on this team through 9 games that has impressed you the most?
I would say from last year, I think Noel Coleman. Last year he started off hot, but then he kind of was regressing from the midseason on. He had a good game in the last game of the Big West tournament. But this year he's averaging close to 17 points per game. And he's been a strong part of the UH starting 5, where you can rely on him with dribbling the ball, handling the ball, shooting the ball, driving with the ball without having to have those turnovers. So I think that Noel right now is playing fantastic. And like you mentioned, Juan, he can just shoot the ball. He's a shooter no matter what. But I do think we need to get him the ball more. Against Nevada, he had very limited chances to create a shot or to get open for a shot. So I think if we want to be able to beat those good teams, those players need to be more open and get more shots up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense definitely goes through him. Like, we go as we go. And I think you and I saw it yesterday, right? Nevada, a tough, lengthy team, but he was really the one guy that was creating his own shot and being able to kind of bail us out of some bad offensive possessions. So I think, without him, we would have probably gotten killed against Nevada, and he's definitely helped us, blow out a couple teams. So it's a nice welcome sign. I'm hoping he can keep it up. But there is one guy in the backcourt that has been kind of, I guess you could say, a little slow to start off this year. And, our dads, not the biggest fans, I would say, of him. Me as well. Maybe I'm brainwashed by them, but Jovan, right? He's coming in his senior year, had a great junior year, but something isn't right. I think with him, what do you think it's going to take for Javon to kind of snap out of this early season funk that he's in?
Well, I think part of it has to do with Juan being able to contribute more to the game. With that, I think Jovan has a more limited amount of minutes, right, between him and Juan, so they gotta split that. Um, and yeah, I don't know, just in particular the game against Nevada, they're like you said, they're long, they're lanky, big guards, right, with Blackshear. There's no way Jovan can create his step back shot over him. I mean, Blackshear, I think he was like 6'6" as a guard compared to a 5'8" McClanahan. There's no way he could create the shot. So it showed that he struggled, that he couldn't get those shots. And he was more of a typical your regular point guard, just getting those assists. But I think Jovan will be okay when it comes to conference play. Well, I'm hoping that we'll see what the glimpse that we saw during his junior year during conference play against the Big West. So I'm not too worried about him right now. I know it's a bit kind of concerning, but once we get into conference play, he should get back to himself.
Okay, well, I hope so too, because I want to see this team go dancing. Because speaking of dancing,
Been a while.
I feel like it's been what, year one for Ganat was the last time they went to the tournament. I don't even know what year this is. This year 8, year 9? What is this for Ganat?
Like year 8 or 9, yeah.
Year 8 or 9. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I ask this question every single year. It's like, I think it's time. It's time for him to deliver, and stop getting knocked out in the first round. But what do you think this team needs to do in the Big West tournament? Because there is that one team, Santa Barbara is there. They got guys coming back. AJ Mitchell, I know he came back. What is it going to take for Hawaii to overcome that? Do you think they can win the conference this year? Realistically?
Realistically, yes, given how deep we are and the amount of returnees that we have. Irvine is probably one of the better teams this year. Long Beach State also has shown they beat USC. So Irvine, Long Beach State, and Santa Barbara will be the top teams along with Hawaii. So I think it just takes the fire, the desire to be able to get over that hump. They haven't gotten to the second round of the Big West tournament in how long? Like 4 or 5 years. It's been a while. I'm sorry. I think they got there like maybe 3 years ago, but still,
Yeah.
with the teams that we have and playing in the Big West Conference, we should be competing at the Big West Championship almost every other year, if not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's gonna take. Takes like some luck, whatever it is, but Iran needs to deliver this year, or else I'm not too sure what's gonna happen. I don't know what's going on in the new AD's mind, for what kind of envision he has for the basketball program, but if these things keep on happening where they're one and done in the Big West tournament, I don't see Ganat here for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I really hope so, because, if it's not working, we got to make a change. But you know what? The Big West tournament is in March. We can worry about that later. They got a tournament coming up, the big one that everybody talks about, Diamond Head Classic. Hawaii's got to defend their title. And how funny is it that their first game is against our school, the Portland Pilots? Woo, Pilots. Yeah, so, well, Greg, I'm going to put you on the spot. Hunter and I are going, but are you going to support your school?
Well, I'm going.
Schools?
I'm going, and I will be cheering for Portland because they're my alum.
That's okay. Me too.
any other team, man. Literally any other team. I'm, UH, born and raised, but I gotta cheer for my alumni, or I mean my former school, right? So
I understand.
I'll be a Pilot supporter.
Yeah. Okay.
The only time I'll be a visiting team's fan in Stan Sheriff Center.
All right. So Fan and the Fanatic will be representing their alma mater and the University of Portland. But as far as the game, Hunter, and really the tournament as a whole for the Hawaii basketball team. Kind of I would say, favorable side of the bracket for UH. I think it's a pretty tough bracket, but a lot of the, upper echelon teams are on the other side. So I don't know. From my perspective, I think UH has a shot to defend their title. I definitely see a path for them to get back to the championship game. But what are your thoughts on the bracket release, and can they repeat as Diamond Head Classic champs?
Sure, of course they can.
Why?
There's
Because
always
they're
that
playing
possibility.
Portland.
I'm expecting Hawaii to beat Portland. I'm sorry. I'm expecting them to beat Portland. And that's they. I think Portland is a decent team this year, right? They're 6-6. I know they had a good start.
They beat a
And
couple big West teams. They beat Long Beach. I think they beat Riverside as well.
yeah, so I mean, they're definitely not a team to take lightly like in the past. So they're much improved. So I think it'll be a good game. But as for if Hawaii does beat Portland in the first round, then they would either play the winner of UMass or Georgia Tech, which is a much tougher slate, of course. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Hawaii hasn't played really much good teams, right? Besides Utah and Nevada, and we just saw a glimpse of that. So being able to compete against these in the Diamond Class against these good teams or decent teams, we'll kind of see where we're at as far as how good we are as a whole. So it'll be a fun, and I do think there's always a chance that we can win. Given we beat Portland the next game, and then probably gonna have to face either TCU or maybe possibly even a rematch of Nevada in the championship game. So we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun one because you and I are going to be cheering for different teams for once at the Stan Sheriff Center. So
Yeah, should be interesting.
try not to yell in my face a little too much because I do think Hawaii is going to win. But just let me cheer for the 1-5-0 run that Portland has throughout the game.
No, I mean, I think it should be competitive. It'll probably be competitive for most of the game. Yeah, so it should be a fun one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. We'll all be there, so we'll get to witness it live.
Yeah,
but I think we'll start to wrap this UH talk up. But we always gotta, when we have guests on, we try to have a little fun with it. Got a game here, so I'll call this it's more of a Q&A for you, Hunter. You're the UH fan. We kind of want to know how you are with UH sports and UH athletics throughout your lifetime. So just plain and simple, we'll ask the question, and you just give us your honest answer. Okay, first question. If you had to pick one sport at UH to attend for the rest of your life, what would it be? I assume it's football or basketball.
Yeah, it's either one of those two. Oh man. Probably just because of, all the tailgates that we had and whatnot. I think football would have to be it. I know basketball is a big portion there, but given the history with football, right, we had tailgates, family tailgates. So just because of that, I'll have to go with football.
All right, football. I would actually disagree with that just because of the current situation. I would choose basketball.
If there was still Aloha Stadium, I would also say football.
Have
not been to TC Ching at all.
Well,
So
I'm thinking future Aloha Stadium gonna be built again, right? 2028. So
yeah, if we're lucky, 2028 if we're lucky.
Yeah, they took how long to build the rail? They're gonna build a new stadium in 5 years. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll tear down the old one first. That thing is still up, man.
I know.
That's so bad.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Favorite concession snack?
Chicken strips or fries.
Chicken strips and
fries. I know that for a fact because the first game of the basketball season, you were caught on camera live on Spectrum Sports chowing down some chicken strips and fries in the first row. So
I thought it was nachos.
Was it nachos? I thought it was chicken strips.
I don't know.
Because Mario was like, hey, isn't that Hunter? I was like, Oh yeah, that is. He's like pounding his food right now. So yeah, chicken strips and fries. That's a go-to right there. All right, what's your favorite tailgating tradition? More
Tailgating
for
tradition.
football. For football.
Yeah, yeah. Um, sure. Probably just the food and drinks. I don't know. I
Food
mean,
and
we don't have
drinks.
really much traditions for that besides just
Same here. I was
just
just eating.
waving. Oh, well, I mean, what we did was we also waved to the team bus that comes in when we're tailgating, but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but with you being the local voice, screaming and heckling at the opposing bus.
No,
Okay.
I love heckling at the for basketball. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll probably see that on Thursday.
I've had a few
Okay.
reactions from the coaches.
Yeah, last year you had a was it Diamond Head last year that one of the coaches were like, didn't they give you a thumbs up or they kind of pointed at you like that's a good one?
Oh
Wasn't it?
yeah,
It was Diamond Head, right? Oh, was it or was it a big one? I think it was Diamond Head, right?
could be. I don't know.
I
There's
thought it
been
was yeah. I remember last year, like I don't know, one of the coaches literally pointed at you and was like, "Yeah, that's a good one." So, but okay, who is in your opinion, for me and you especially, we played a lot of football at tailgates, right? With all the kids, but who is the worst football player that you've played with tailgating in the parking lot? Who is the worst parking lot football player?
worst player. Probably got to be Darren Ehawk.
Please say why. Please say why. This needs an explanation.
Well, I mean, he can't really catch the ball, right? I mean, he bats it down like if he's on defense, but he can't catch it if he's on offense.
Sweet, and he that's why he was a DB in football. Broken hands.
Guess so.
Yeah. That was the answer I was expecting. So thank you for saying that for my personal entertainment. Okay, next one. What's your favorite UH sporting venue? And I would assume it's Aloha Stadium or Stan Surf Center or Les Marcami or TC Ching.
I mean, yeah, probably got to be a low stadium or Stanship Center. Um, or to choose one, probably a low stadium.
Aloha
Yeah.
Stadium.
I love
Okay.
TC King though now. I like the atmosphere it has. More of a you know college atmosphere, game day atmosphere compared to a low stadium. Maybe because it's more intimate and closer. That could be a reason, but yeah, I'll go with a low stadium.
All right, Aloha Stadium. Okay, next one. Would you have a first date at a UH game?
Probably not. They probably not. I mean, you see me at the games.
For
There's
you,
no way I would.
but that's your true personality. Like, don't you want the
Not,
girl to know,
but
like, oh, that's who I am?
you can't. I can't show it the first time. They're gonna run away. I'm lucky I didn't bring less the first day to a UH game.
Oh, see, so then it worked then.
No, I said good thing I didn't.
Oh, oh man. Okay, who's the best halftime competition contestant?
You mean like between us?
No, anybody that you know, but yeah, it could be between us.
Well, I mean, we did compete, and I think we're 1-1, right?
Yeah,
When
you
we
guys got to
do.
do it one more time this year, by the way,
We
for the
we are
tiebreaker.
1-1.
No, we got to do the Diamond Head.
Okay, the Portland game that we're gonna enter.
We can try. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, either one of us, we'll see. We'll see the next one who the best one is.
Okay,
I mean,
so it
if we
is
come down to the finals, so
all right. So it is a tie then, I guess, for that one. Okay, last question. Well, not really a question, but I guess it is a question. What's your go-to cheering line? Can you please demonstrate?
oh, I there's no straight line. It's whatever comes
Go to
in the
cheering
moment.
line. What?
I mean,
Yeah, because Hunter. Well, I'm saying this because at the basketball games, Hunter is very vocal. He's a very vocal person. So I just wanted him to share a little bit of his expressions. But if he's camera shy, I respect that because he's saving his voice for
Yeah, he
UP.
he
But
has to save
I
it
wanted to
for
I wanted to give
Thursday.
him the opportunity if he wanted to let out some frustration or to heckle us because we're cheering against UH. So that
no,
was more of
you'll
a
see it. You'll see on
we'll
Thursday
see it. Okay,
against Portland. Yeah, I'll save it. I'll save it.
it's full force then. All right. I think that's all we got, right, Greg?
Yeah.
That's a good segment. But all right, the fan fanatic. We'll come back. We'll take a break here. But Hunter, thanks for coming on. It's always a
Yep.
blast with you.
Thank you.
We're gonna have you back on, for the basketball season. But I'm gonna leave you with this: Pilots till I die, baby.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls! Yeah, that's what we need here. But all right, thanks, Hunt.
Thanks, Hunter.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we got our last segment here. Matt, I believe we got to talk some baseball. So we got some of the news heating up.
Yamamoto.
I guess Yamamoto is really taking this free agency for all that it's worth. Taking his time. I respect that he's doing his due diligence on each team, getting a chance to hear out each organization. Because it sounds like there's a pretty lengthy contract at hand. So, he's taking his time to do his research. But it sounds like the front runners, at least, are the Dodgers and the Yankees from most of the reports. I think the Mets also have a chance. The Phillies, I think, also met with him. So sounds like it's coming down to, those teams. But I guess we'll see. We're still holding out. Hopefully, well, for me, the Dodgers can sign him. But
Oh,
yeah, I guess.
please. You guys don't deserve him. You really don't.
What do you mean we don't deserve
You don't
him?
deserve him. You guys
Uh, What?
well, we'll talk about this other guy later, but you guys you guys signed a pitcher. You obviously have Shohei, right?
Yeah, but you think
Yeah.
Shohei is overrated, so
Yeah,
I guess we need to take
but he's
Yamamoto.
good. No, he's a good player. He's a good player. But I mean, for him to get all this hype, I think it's a little too much. It is good for the game though, because it does bring in, more attraction to baseball, right? He's a global
Our Shohei's gonna
international
hit like
superstar.
I'm telling you right now, he's gonna hit for like 45, 50 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 runs scored. Because he doesn't have to pitch. Now you just hit all year. So,
Yeah.
but
And
anyway,
I'm just a skeptic of Shohei just because of the injury history.
yeah, that's
He's
fair.
he's an he's an older guy, right? So I think he's gonna be 30 this year in this
Yeah.
next season. So that's like, yeah, like okay, like he's gonna be good for the first beginning part of that contract, but it's like 10 years is a long time for a guy to sustain excellence and for the amount that you're paying, you know 70 million technically a season. You'd want a rather worthy return. That's all I gotta say. But that's not the topic because we're talking about Yamamoto. But Yamamoto is meeting with the Yankees. I don't know if you heard that report. They had a second meeting
Oh,
because
second meeting.
they had a second meeting in New York, and I said, or it was reported that he wanted to meet with the Yankees.
Oh,
It was he initiated the meeting, and when I heard that, I perked up because I'm like, yes, this is the news that I want to hear because he wants it. He wants to be the guy, and I truly think that because you guys got Shohei, he wants to. I think he wants to be the dude in a sense, right? If he plays at Shohei, yeah, obviously gonna have a chance to win every year, but I think he wants to to show like I don't think he wants to play second fiddle to Shohei because that's what he's gonna be if he goes to LA. But hey, he can bring that Japanese market to the East Coast. Like, hey, that's all his, man. Shohei, he can have the West Coast, but you can control the East Coast market. So I'm hoping that this is true. I mean, he has to sign by I think end of December. He has 40 days from when he was posted, so it's coming to the end. Like he's a little over halfway. So I'm hoping by Christmas he signs. That would be ideal. But oh, gosh, when I heard that news that he wanted to meet with the Yankees again, I'm crossing my fingers because I feel pretty confident right now about getting him. And that's going to be my dream off season. Yamamoto. Yamamoto.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the verdict is still out on him, so we'll stay updated on that as the offseason progresses. But we do have a concrete signing, well, trade and signing, taking a couple players out of the AL East, bringing them over to my team, the Dodgers in the NL West now. So pretty big news. We get Tyler Glasnow from the Rays as well as Manuel Margot. Uh, Unfortunately, we couldn't pull a Rosarena. I think that would have just been a little too sweet. But hey, we'll take Glasnow. We know the Dodgers struggled last year with starting pitching. I mean, just going back to the most recent series that they played in, games 1 and 2 against Arizona with Kershaw and Bobby Miller, just getting absolutely lit up. Good to have an ace like Glasnow. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. I like the trade. Without Shohei pitching next year, I think Glasnow is going to be a good 1-2 punch with a healthy Walker Buehler going into next year. And hopefully we see Bobby Miller progress as well. So 3 flamethrowers. I mean, really the same pitching style. They have the electric fastball with nasty breaking stuff, kind of combo, right? That it is shown to be effective in this league. So really happy to see him with the Dodgers, hometown kid. And I will just say, as Dodgers and Yankees fans, we are spoiled with assuming that our team will be going to the postseason. So, not even just assuming that, really want to see what he bring. Yeah, that is the expectation. But want to see what he's going to bring to that postseason roster because he, like Kershaw, as good as he is in the regular season, doesn't have the best postseason numbers. So I think that's something to kind of look forward to as the season goes on, especially in the latter half of the year. But nonetheless, I am happy because it helps solve one. It's one piece. I don't think the Dodgers are done. Doesn't sound like they're done. Friedman is willing to spend and is willing to be aggressive to go after starting pitching. So, like Shohei said, Dodgers are all about winning. He actually got introduced officially with the Dodgers, so good to hear. The Dodgers' commitment to winning is kind of what helped bring him over. Even got a video of the late Kobe Bryant, in the sports pitch. So
Shohei's recruitment, right?
Yeah, in Shohei's recruitment. Sounded like from what Shohei was saying, not it was always going to be the Dodgers, but the Dodgers were pretty up there in his list. So glad it is official now. I feel better after letting it sink in, and I'll be rocking my Shohei jersey on opening day next year. So
opening day, wow.
Yeah.
You don't want a Glasnow jersey? Cheaper?
No. Shohei.
But he's a good signing. I like as a Yankee fan.
It's a good signing, yeah.
Yankee fan, I'm happy that you guys made this trade because we can't hit him. He's nasty. But the one knock on him is he's very injury prone. But if he's healthy, you could argue a number one, like a low end number one, high quality number two guy in the rotation. So I feel like honestly, 5 years, what is it, 135? That's kind of a bargain, I would say. for the Dodgers because you can get a great return on that if you guys manage him. Like, I don't think you're going to expect him to be a 200 innings guy, but I think if you guys manage him, I think the return is going to be great, especially when it comes to the postseason because he's that good. So I don't know. Maybe you guys should get Blake Snell now. You guys can reunite the Rays rotation that you guys faced in the World Series. Because
Yeah.
you guys
Well,
can get Yamamoto will come to New York. You guys can have Blake Snell.
we'll see. I wouldn't mind Blake Snell, honestly, another lefty in there. But you know what? We'll have to wait on that and see what the Dodgers continue to do. Um, other than that, Matt, yeah, why don't we wrap it up because it was kind of long. So baseball done. We got with Hunter. Let's wrap it up. Last foolish fools, or this should be his last foolish fool for a while. But yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead
So
and take it?
we've been calling it Foolish Fools, but the original concept was actually Staley shenanigans. And in fitting fashion, probably the last Staley shenanigans, possibly ever. I don't know. But for right now, obviously, Brandon Staley and the Los Angeles Chargers, you guys are Foolish Fools, Staley shenanigans, winners of the week. I mean, when you trail 42 to nothing at the half and get flat out embarrassed by a team that got shut out the previous week, I don't even know what to expect. And I don't like making fun of Brandon Staley being fired, but how do you come back from that? It's like how would you as a Chargers fan be able to logically say, "Oh yeah, Brandon Staley deserves another chance." Like he's had way too many chances to me because of all the late game decisions that he's made. He blew a playoff lead with like 27-point lead or something to the Jaguars last year. So just kind of a cherry on top, kind of wrapping this up for his tenure. Just sad way to go out, but in typical that's what we named the segment after. So it's the last one for Staley shenanigans. So Brandon Staley is our winner this week.
Yep, Brandon Staley, you will be missed on the show. Um,
You did give us some good laughs, though. I
he
gotta
did.
say.
He really did. So we'll look forward to the Chargers off season. That'll be an interesting one for sure. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe finally Eric Bieniemy gets a role there.
Bill Belichick.
That's also a good one that's been rumored. I think Ben Johnson for the Lions would be
That's a good
interesting.
one.
But you know what? I will say, as Bill Belichick, obviously one of the greatest coaches, you got to get an offensive guy for Justin Herbert to help unleash his full potential. Get a system around him that works with the talent around him. So, yeah, that's something we'll monitor in the NFL offseason. But real quick to wrap up, state of the 808. Just a couple players I wanted to touch on. Jelani Tavai had another pick, so shout out to him. Nick Herbig almost had a fumble recovery for a touchdown on special teams. They blocked, unfortunately, Rigo Sanchez, former
Wow.
UH. So they blocked him. Nick Herbig almost took it in for a touchdown. I think he was down at the one, but still good play. One of their only good plays as of late, if you're a Steelers fan. And then DeForest Buckner, half sack, but you know what? We'll take it. Ended up with the win over the Steelers. Yeah, Defo. So yeah, that's my quick state of the 808, Matt. Why don't you round us out here? Bring us home with our sports fact of the day.
All right. Sports fact of the day. We are recording on December 18th, and we'll go back to last year. It's the FIFA World Cup final when Argentina beat France 4-2 in a penalty shootout after a 3-3 tie in regulation. One of the greatest games, I think, in soccer history, I would say, just with the star power with Lionel Messi. I think he scored 2 goals, and then Kylian Mbappe on France. I think he had a hat trick as well. So it's like just kind of everything that you want in a soccer game kind of coming through it to fruition in the biggest game in the sport. So one of the legendary games in World Cup history last year.
Okay, that was a good soccer one. We don't always get to soccer on this pod, but yeah, okay. Well, Matt, we will have a discussion later this week. We will figure out how we're watching the game together.
Yep. Big
As
game on
big
Sunday.
game. I mean, 2 10-4 teams, similar narratives about the teams, so similar narratives about the quarterbacks at play, playoff implications on the line for both teams. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game. Probably one of the most watched games of the weekend. So we'll see. We'll figure out how to do that. But other than that, we will get back to you guys next week. As usual, it's holiday season. Everyone spend time with your loved ones. And yeah, just let's all be safe this holiday season. It's all I ever want. Everyone to just enjoy, celebrate, but let's be smart, get through this thing safely. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week.